Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the USMNT and how it went during the October camp. The USMNT played two matches. The first one was against Ecuador in Austin, Texas, and the second one was against Australia in Colorado. And today we're going to be talking about how was their October camp. There was a lot of changes during this camp in play style, and today we're going to be doing an analysis of this October camp. So let's get ready with the video. But before we continue, I'd like to tell you guys to like and subscribe because it is very important that you guys like and subscribe so you guys can never miss another video. And to also follow me on X and on TikTok. There will be more content on those platforms. So let's get on with the video. First, let's talk about the Ecuador game. Although it ended in a draw, I do think this was a step in the right direction for the USMNT. Ecuador is a good team. They finished second place in World Cup qualifying for CONMEBOL, which I think is right behind UEFA in terms of qualifying. And I do think it is harder considering that UEFA, like it's only like one really good team and then it's like one decent team right after. They have group stages while every team in CONMEBOL plays against each other. So I do think CONMEBOL is the hardest World Cup qualifiers on earth, and I do think Ecuador is a really good team. They are one of the best defenses in the entire world. And although I do have to say they were missing a couple of guys, they were missing Moises Caicedo, one of the best midfielders in the world, and Nkapie, who is a very, very good center back. But the USMT was also missing guys. We were missing Sergio Dest. We were missing a couple, like Anthony Robinson was also not available for the game. So both sides were missing players. And I do think this was a good result against a quality opponent. And the USMT looked good during the game. And we managed to create chances. Although I do think Chris Richards should have done better in the Ener Valencia goal. I do think he could have done a better job in marking him and stopping him. But it wasn't just Chris Richards. I know Aiden Morris had some responsibility also on that goal. But I do think this was a positive result for the USMNT. Next, let's talk about the Australia game. Although Australia, on paper, they're nowhere near the quality of an Ecuador, especially when it comes to individual talent. Australia is still a decent team, in my opinion. They are a team that has been qualifying to the World Cup as of late. So, Australia is a quality opponent, and as of late, they also gotten some pretty good results. They fired their last coach because Australia wasn't doing too good. I saw they lost the game against Bahrain or Oman. I forgot which country it was, but they managed to get some good results after they fired their coach and got Popovich. They managed to beat both Japan and Saudi Arabia at home. So I do think this Australia team has been doing good as of late, and they also got a victory against Canada prior to the game against the USMT. So Australia on paper is a good team as well. Although they don't have that individual talent, I do think as a team, they are a very hard group to play against, and I do think the SMT looked good against Australia. I wasn't expecting much after Pulisic had to come off with an injury, but after it was like some energy came into this group, and they managed to look way better without Pulisic. I know like probably wasn't Pulisic's fault that the SMT wasn't playing good. It probably just was like they just needed that extra motivation, and they got that extra motivation once Pulisic came off the field, and they felt like they had something to prove. That's what I feel like. And the SMT managed to prove themselves. A lot of players did. I think Haji Wright looked amazing. Christian Roldan, he surprised me a bit. I'm not going to be overreacting. It's just one game. But let's see more about Christian Roldan. Let's talk about something we learned after this camp. The back three or the back five, whatever you want to call it, the three center back formation is the way to go for the USMT. After the Japan game during the September camp, there was a lot of speculation that Maris Pochettino was probably going to move on with the back three or back five, whatever you want to call it, because he used a back three against Japan. And sure you know it, this looks like the new formation for the Mars Pochettino and the USMNT. I do think this is a positive change because I do think center back is our biggest weakness when it comes to field positions, and having an extra center back just to cover, I do think that makes the team more solid and makes it easier for the team to build out of the back. And I do say that guys like Pulisic, guys like Malik Tillman, especially our strikers, as we saw during this camp, they're going to be benefiting because there's going to be more creation through the middle. And I do think this benefits a lot of guys. And I'm excited to see how it looks like with both our fullbacks, A Rob and Sergio Dest, because I do think they're going to be benefiting a lot from this change. Next, let's talk about players who have their stocks down after this camp. Starting off first with Max Arston, a lot of people thought that maybe since we're going to start playing with three center backs, that maybe Max Arston wouldn't be a huge liability on defense, but they were wrong. Like a lot of the attacks at Australia and Ecuador, when they had the ball, they're playing on that left side where Max Arston was, and they were trying to isolate him. So again, huge liability on defense. And in attack, like all he does is step overs. He is so inefficient. That assist against Japan, like I feel like that was kind of fluky in my opinion. Next, another guy, another fullback, Alex Freeman. Like the guy is just not Sergio Dest. I saw a lot of people on X saying that Freeman, like he just offers something that doesn't, but I just don't see it. Sergio Dest is playing out better than Freeman at this point of their careers. I do think Sergio Dest is way better on offense, although Alex Freeman is one of the best offensive fullbacks in Major League Soccer, but it's in Major League Soccer. We're talking about Sergio Dest, who has been a really good offensive player in the Champions League and in the Eredivisie. So I do think Sergio Dest just clears Freeman in that sector. He's just a way better 1v1 player, way better in just connecting with his teammates, way better in almost every single phase when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, like I see a lot of people just say that Freeman, like he's better on defense. But I'm gonna be honest, I do think Sergio Dest, like when it comes to the national team, he's a way better defender. He's not playing out better, but I do think he's a better defender. He just doesn't get beat as much on the one-on-one action. So I do think Sergio Des is just a better player when compared to Alex Freeman at this point of their careers. And then lastly, Miles Robinson. Like out of all the three center backs, Miles Robinson was the worst, getting beat on the one-on-ones. Just like all he can do on the build out is just pass to another center back or pass to a fullback. He cannot progress the ball. And against Australia, the guy thought he was either on the Denver Broncos or on the Chicago Bears because after he got beat one-on-one, he nearly committed a penalty after trying to tackle an Australian player. Like, dude, just get off the national team. After that Achilles injury, the guy has been finished. Next, let's talk about guys who have their stocks go up after this camp. There's obviously names that weren't in camp or just didn't play in camp due to injury, like both in the cases of A Rob and Sergio Dest, just because there's nobody like them in the fullback department. But for guys who played during this camp, I'm gonna say two names that come to mind real quick, both Florian Balogun and Haji Wright. Like Haji Wright having a brace and Flo just being the best player against Ecuador. Like both were just on fire during both games where they started respectively. Starting off first with Flo, I do think his combination play is phenomenal, and for a hold up, him not being known as a hold up player, I did think he did a good job, and that goal he scored a good goal, and then he obviously had a couple of other shots during the game. So I think in the first half he was by far our best player. Just a very good performance from Flo, and I do think that number 9 position, I do think that's his for now. And then Haji Wright, that brace against Australia, two very good finishes, especially that second one. Like that was just a dirty finish, like just a beauty of a goal. And then like a guy that I wasn't expecting to say, but Christian Roldan, I did think his stock does go up after this camp. He had 2 assists for Haji Wright against Australia. And although I do think on defense he's just way too big of a liability to just put him as a starter, but I do think as one of the 26 players, After this performance, I do think just give him one more chance in November just to see how he looks like. Maybe he's a late bloomer. That's what I'm hoping because I'll never root against the player, but just like before that performance, like everything I've seen from Christian Roldan is just disappointments. But for this match, I did think he surprised me. He surprised me huge. He was a huge surprise. He had 2 assists. I do hope he's a late bloomer because I think that'll be an interesting story for the USMT and our fan base. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.